So when you posted this last night, were you aware that the woman you were posting a picture of had contemplated committing suicide for the attention it received?
After Donald Trump just made a stunning admission to NBC News during an interview he did right before taking the stage in Potterville, Michigan for a disastrous rally. I want to break all of that down. But what he said has MAGA supporters so mad that one tweeted out, "Don't ever again try to bully me into voting for this putz." And I see a lot of reactions like this in the replies of this video, Donald Trump. Before I play that, Donald Trump took the stage and began to attack the journalist that questioned him on abortion. Look.
After CNN released a small clip of the Harris interview, you on Twitter posted a clip from a Miss Teen USA beauty pageant from 2007, Caitlin Upton, and you wrote, "I have gotten a hold of the full Kamala Harris CNN interview." Now, this thing that surfaced around the internet for a few years, she struggled answering a question back in this beauty pageant. I'm not sure you're aware, in 2015, Caitlin Upton did an interview with New York Magazine about all the social media attention this clip got, and she said, "I definitely went through a period where I was very, very depressed, but I never let anybody see that stuff except for people I could trust. I had some very dark moments where I thought about committing suicide." So when you posted this last night, were you aware that the woman you were posting a picture of had contemplated committing suicide for the attention it received?
No, certainly not, John, and my heart goes out to her, and I hope that she's doing well. Look, I've said a lot of things on camera. I've said a lot of stupid things on camera. Sometimes when you're in the public eye, you make mistakes, and again, I think the best way to deal with it is to laugh at ourselves, laugh at this stuff, and try to have some fun in politics.
NBC fake news. I just want to remind you, VP Harris is doing an interview tonight with CNN, and I'm sure she's going to kill it. Her and Tim Walz will be on CNN, but Donald Trump immediately deflects and tries to attack the journalist. It reminds me of what Mike Lindell did to me. He came on stage at a Trump rally and said, "I just got attacked by a journalist when I didn't attack him." But let's play this clip of Donald Trump flip-flopping on one of his key issues, something that he has talked about many times in the past: abortion. He just completely flip-flopped from, "Let's leave it up to the states. I'm the one that overturned Roe Wade," to saying this.
Posted a meme from 20 years ago, and I think the fact that we're talking about that instead of the fact that American families can't afford groceries or health care, young families can't afford to buy a home to raise their families in.
That is somebody that sounds like somebody who wants to save their ass, who knows that the Republican Party is bleeding. The women vote, the suburban women vote, the vote of women all across the country. Donald Trump uses his typical salesman-likey tactics. I want more weeks, many more weeks.
Those are the real crises that we should focus on, and there's nothing that says that we can't tell some jokes along the way while we deal with the very serious business of bringing back our public policy. Politics has gotten way too lame, John, way too boring. You can have some fun while making a good argument to the American people.
Nobody wanted that Donald Trump is now trying to cover his ass. And can I point out that this Axio article does a pretty good job of calling him out, former president. Trump said Thursday that an abortion limit banning the procedure after 6 weeks is too short. Trump, who has long boasted that he was the one who, quote, was able to kill Roe. Wade has flip-flopped on his abortion stance, campaigning with a leave-it-to-the-states approach. Now that he has left it up to the states, he is trying to backtrack. Although he once indicated he favored a national abortion ban, the 2024 GOP presidential candidate announced in April that he believes the issue should be left up to the states to decide. And now, a few months later, he's saying that what the decisions the states are making. He doesn't like those decisions, so Donald Trump cannot take an actual stand on abortion, and he accuses VP Harris of flip-flopping over a 5-year period after getting experience as the VP. Now let's move on to the speech that Donald Trump did after the interview in Potterville, Michigan, where he's losing his mind. He's gripping the podium. He's visibly old. Listen to this clip of him saying again that the Civilian Medal of Freedom is better than the Medal of Honor.
You were talking about Donald Trump's social media. Would you describe his posts over the last 48 hours as lifting people up, quoting, reposting QAnon statements, reposting these misogynistic memes about Vice President Harris and Hillary Clinton, that's the kind of open discussion that you think is lifting people up?
Oh, John, I think if you look at Donald Trump's full campaign appearances and, yes, his social media appearances, what you see is two things. A guy with an agenda to lower prices and bring back American prosperity, and a political candidate who isn't stodgy, who likes to have some fun and likes to tell some jokes. I'd much rather have a candidate who's willing to go off script, who's willing to give every interview, and is willing to tell some jokes. I do think that's how you lift people up. A politics of boring scolds telling people they can't laugh, that is not lifting Americans up.
I mean, he's just saying the same thing, but trying to cushion it. But he says it with a lot of dismissiveness. Do you hear the dismissiveness in his voice when he's talking about people who have been wounded? And this only reinforces the claim that Donald Trump has said things about wounded soldiers in the past. I mean, we know he said things about John McCain, but the fact that he's called soldiers, losers, and suckers is only reinforced. When Donald Trump goes on stage and undermines lived experiences of soldiers, and J.D. Vance likes to do that too. J.D. Vance learns from Daddy Trump. Here's Trump blatantly lying and saying that there were multiple trans women boxing in the Olympics, just trying to rile the crowd up on the most dumb culture war issues.
Would you trust Robert Kennedy on issues around vaccines? Could you see him involved with health policy that way?
Well, look, again, John, I don't agree with Robert Kennedy. I don't agree with Bobby on everything. I've gotten to know him. I think he's a very smart guy. But again, while I might not agree with him on everything about vaccines, I do agree with him that something is clearly messed up about our food system because we...
The student's losing his mind. Everything he's saying is false. That did not happen. They were not two transitioned boxers or whatever he said. And this is why Trump supporters completely overestimate the amount of trans people that are in America. One of my first ever viral clips of me and a Trump supporter was a Trump supporter saying that 20% of Americans were trans. I really quickly want to show you this because I think it's important to highlight V. Harris's speeches. The crowd was going crazy. Listen to this.
How would this work if a state, and you believe that states should have the right to make these decisions, if a state bans IVF, but Donald Trump says he wants to guarantee and or pay for IVF for everyone who wants it, how would that work if a state banned it?
Well, John, I think it's such a ridiculous hypothetical because Alabama, which is maybe the most conservative state in the entire union, has actively protected fertility access and fertility treatments. There's no state in the union, whether a right-wing state or a left-wing state, that I think is trying to ban access to fertility treatments. And if Alabama is protecting this stuff, I think it's safe to say the whole country is as well. So,
well, but the court,
look,
but there is a court,
I think that
who's
what
to
Donald
say
Trump
there's not,
again wants to do is protect access.
Who's to say there's not another court in another state that could decide that IVF should be banned? It happened in Alabama for a minute. You also voted against a measure in the Senate that would have guaranteed access to IVF around the country. So it's possible, right?
Well, two things, John. First of all, yes, a court made that decision in Alabama, and like the next second, the Alabama state legislature fixed that problem and ensured women had access to these fertility treatments. And all that I voted on, John, is for religious liberty. I don't want Christian hospitals.
D.P. Harris makes me proud to be an American and actually gives me hope for the future of America. A quick outie if you made it this far. In the video comment a blue heart, leave a like, subscribe and comment.